Oh man. Oh my goodness. What a bad time to have a discussion on whether or not the females are boring and should be removed from the roster. I told you, man, it's always better to be honest. Stop trying to make these, it's people look for clickbait and they want to make a unprecedented argument. Listen to me. Listen to what I watch me say something. Watch me make this big statement. That is all this is with the criticism with the females, if you ask me. And y'all look bad right now because if either one of these fights, let's say both of the fights were boring and stunk up the joint, and they were booed out the place, don't y'all know they would reopen this discussion all over again? Everybody who created content, they would tip their hat to them. Hey, here you go. Got another example. But now it's crickets so far. So far. I want to hear what the critics, what I want the critics to do is actually document the exciting fights apart from the boring fights. Document it. Because I don't think y'all are being honest. Now, they had this discussion right before a fight card. Now, this is crazy. They had this discussion right before a fight card where two of the fighters on the card boasts about getting stoppages. Let's unpack this slowly. So while people were having this discussion on how boring the women are, you had these two talking about, I'm all about stoppages. Let's get it popping. Go into the cage, both of them, and deliver on it. So yeah, I have to agree with the crowd who looks at these types of people or critics as incels. These are incels. And the saddest part is few of these critics are willing to go in there and get bloodied up, even if it's just twice a year. And Elise Reed, I'm tired of seeing her get beaten up. That it is sad to watch her career unfold because she tries, she doesn't give up, and still gets destroyed. Fighters go in there and have a highlight reel against Elise, and she keeps coming back for more. Just keeps coming back for more. I don't know what's wrong with this chick. But salute to you, Elise. You got the heart of a warrior. Let me say this. I'm getting behind these younger fighters. At a time when there's a lot of criticism of WMMA, where discussions are being had of whether they should be removed, I'm over here looking at these younger, newer fighters as easily the next generation. At least in the UFC. One, a 27-year-old Carli Judice. She's only 27. 5'9" at 125. She is among the tallest in that division. You see that? I have it filtered based on height. Her, Ernesta, and Teresa Bleda are the tallest at 5'9". Not only is she tall, she's long. You saw the kick that she hurt Chavez with. Look at how far away Carli was when she landed those kicks. It was like a mile away from Chavez. Those are hard shots to deal with. Those kicks. And I don't know if y'all noticed. Look at Carli Judice's legs when you get the time. She has muscle-bound legs. So she's properly built. Like, she uses her anatomy to the best of its ability. She maximizes her potential the way that she fights. I'm talking about Carli Judice. I'm going to be back and forth between the both of these fighters. She maximizes her height, her length, her reach, and she's got decent speed. I actually thought Chavez had a little more speed than Judice. But you see, she was never worried. She pressed Chavez until she stopped her. That was an aggressive performance by Judice. That was very confident and aggressive display. I mean, she just they both destroyed their opponents. And it would have been better if Elise would have been stopped in the first round, because the second and third was just unnecessary beatings. I got memories of Arturo Gatti, Floyd Mayweather in there. If you look at the comments, you'll see several people who said this fight should have been stopped long before it was stopped. So, wow. Listen, man, if y'all would have been vindicated, I would have came up here and said, look, the critics got a point. I've never had a problem being critical of the females. Now listen, Shanelle, this is why I'm getting behind these younger fighters. Shanelle is a problem. Let's just accept that. There's a high volume, and she has power and knows how to crank it up. Is not afraid to crank it up. Not afraid to go for the stoppage. That's a horrible combination. That's a dangerous combination for opponents. I understand it's Elise highlight reel read, but we've seen her in plenty fights, Shanelle Dyer. And she is even younger than Carli Judice. If I'm not mistaken, is she like 24? Okay. Oh, she's at strawweight. It's a whole different division. My mistake. Shanelle Dyer is at 115. Isn't that right? Yeah, she's at 115. She's 25. I'm getting behind these young fighters. Look at this. I was looking at this the other day. Okay, this is 125 we're looking at right now. I'm going to filter by the age. Shevchenko, age 30, is the oldest fighter in that division. She's on her way out. Demopoulos, same thing. Jasmine, pretty much same thing. Whaley, same thing. Manon, these fighters don't have much longer to go. They don't. Even Wayne Kong is getting up there. 34. And down, further down is the younger fighters. I'm seeing something with the younger fighters. At least let's just focus on these two. Dyer is a problem. She is fast. I talked about this before. The Muay Thai fighters, they're all a problem. Now she's come in and talked about, being a knockout queen. They're boasting about knockouts. Both of them are real boastful about their knockout ratio and the fact that they plan on knocking out more opponents. Shanelle, it's like Joanna all over again. Once you can, and she was critical of jiu-jitsu fighters, and that was a shot at Mackenzie Dern. We all know that. Shanelle Dyer made a statement, said, "I'm tired of seeing jiu-jitsu in title fights." I think that was a shot at Mackenzie Dern. Like what we saw with Joanna, when you got above average striking, you can, and you're able to force these chicks to stand up. I can see a repeat of a Joanna type scenario. I can see that happening. These simply, if they can't get her down and they got to deal with her as a striker, man, it's too much. Dyer's, not only her foot and hand speed is like overly fast, her foot speed is fast, meaning she gets out the way unusually fast. Like it's nothing. As soon as she's uncomfortable, she's out of there. There's nothing you can do about it. The way she's built, she's real muscular, and she just got good legs, good calves. And once she float out the way, ain't nothing you can do about it. I pointed this out on the other video where I covered Shanelle Dyer's fights. I have always paid close attention to that, watching her fights. How quick she moves. If she had subpar striking and just was able to move like that, she'd still be difficult to deal with. But you telling me she got real good striking, above average striking, and power? Yeah, that's a serious, serious problem. So they're going to have to do something about Shanelle Dyer. Y'all going to have to try to expose her weakness. Now, she was critical of jiu-jitsu. That might be her way of admitting that that's her Achilles heel. If she's in there with a good fighter who keep taking her down, keep on the ground, that might be her way of admitting it. If somebody can do that, then yeah, you might have a chance with me. But look at Sean Strickland. These types of stand-up fighters who are not offensive on the ground, they still have a lot of success in the UFC, males and females. I mean, if Sean Strickland does not convince you, nothing will. That man does not fight offensively on the ground, not even 0%. And with the even crazier is that he's primarily boxing his opponents. He's forcing them to stand up and punching them in the face. I'm a big fan of MMA, but it's still that easy to dominate certain fighters in the MMA. So yeah, Shanelle Dyer is a major problem. To be that light and have that kind of power, almost like Andrade level power, with the speed to boot. Now, her accuracy could use some improvement. A lot of her shots were off the mark, and once she gets a little tired, you can see she starts arm throwing and flinging her shots. But like you're 25 years old, there's a lot of room for improvement. Now that's 115. Judice seemed to have comparable power, but at 125. And again, you got to imagine the fighter's going to give her problems, most likely or be a ground fighter, but it doesn't have to be. She's lost to two different. She lost to two different UFC fighters already. Fighters who are not really considered the best of the best. With Carli Judice, I believe she's one of those fighters that if your style does not match up well with hers, she's gonna almost like obliterate you. But if you're able to kind of stand your ground and fight back, don't let her bully you. She bullied Chavez this whole fight. She never let Chavez walk forward at all. Even though Chavez threw some lead strikes, it was almost defensively. As if she was throwing strikes just because, hey, I have to hit you or else you're going to destroy me. So, yeah, we're looking at another wave of strikers and fighters who are just going to be a problem in general. That Alexia Thainara chick, she is another problem. She is another problem. I'm talking about for the champions and anybody else that might be in the way. Okay? Now we're looking at 115 again. Shanelle Dyer, okay, does not seem to be surrounded by, she might get a ranked opponent. I would expect both of them to get a ranked opponent next. Can you believe? Wait a minute. Are they even ranked? Yeah, Crispy has to be ranked. If she's not ranked, then that's all kinds of crazy. Okay? We gotta look at where they are in the rankings here. Okay? 115. No Shanelle Dyer. No Shanelle Dyer. So she has to get a ranked opponent next. And Carli Judice is not ranked either. You see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? I'm getting behind these younger, newer fighters. The two fighters we just saw tonight are on win streaks and knockout streaks, where they've at least knocked out all of their opponents but one. I think Carli recently had a decision fight. But both of them are unranked. Okay? So I expect both of them to get a ranked opponent next. We'll see how they do against ranked fighters. We've seen fighters look unstoppable against unranked fighters before. Start to fight ranked fighters, then start to look vulnerable. That you're going to have to, I think these girls are up against it with these two. Trying to find a short shot vulnerability. Even with Judice, her two losses were split decisions. Correct me if I'm wrong. There was both split decision losses. And I think they were both against fellow strikers. So strikers going to have a hard time with both of them. And it just looks like very uncomfortable dealing with Carli's leg length. That looks like something that's, in body shots. Anytime you get fighters who focus on body shots, especially the women, because they usually don't. Yeah, that might be a deal breaker for a lot of these fighters. Shanelle, if she's going to run over her opponents, in my opinion, if they can't stop her from doing so. The way I'm talking about Shanelle, the way she fights, it's like she's fighting for a stoppage. Now, when you fight like that, you also bring the best out of your opponent. Your fight or flight kicks in, your survival instincts kick in. And you fight harder when you know your fighter is trying to stop you and you feel like you're about to get stopped. So it's hard to. What I can say is they're gonna have to fight her, or else they're gonna get run over. You know, they're gonna have to really do something to keep her at bay. And really, both of them. You see how Carli is always in your face? Shanelle's always in your face. These are come forward strikers. Come forward strikers, real confident in their ability to stop takedowns, at least so far. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if they're the future of their divisions. I don't see why they wouldn't be. Like some of these other young fighters, Stephanie Luciano. You know, I'm more so looking at these younger fighters, man. That's what I'm doing, because everybody's been focused on these older fighters and older names. Well, they headed out. They're getting up out of here. Look at Carolina, 40 years old, still in the UFC. I didn't even think she was still on the roster. Angela Hill, 41. Amanda Lemos, 39. Jingnan, 30. She needs to retire anyway. Verna, Yan Zhaonan. See, these are all older, familiar names. Even Jacqueline Amorum. She's still a problem. She's still a problem. You know, she's got pretty... Oh, did y'all know that girl, Bia Mesquita? Did y'all know she holds the record for the most, like, BJJ awards in, like, the country? The only one ahead of her is some guy who has 13. She has 10. She's tied with somebody else with 10 medals. I guess it's some type of BJJ tournament, the major tournaments. She's tied with somebody else with 10, and the other guy who is in the league has 13. She has some serious credentials when it comes to BJJ. But I'm just saying her striking is atrocious, and I can see her getting hurt again. But these are not, and she's older too. She's older too. But these are these two. Let me just stick to these two. Problems. You better figure out how to get both of them down, because you know you got to test Carli on the ground. Like, why would you go in there and just want to strike with her the whole fight? There has to be an easier path to victory than to stand there striking with her. And at age 25, how old is she? 25 or 27? I think she's 27. You know, she's got a lot of time to hone in that style, to make tweaks, to make adjustments if she needs to. Yeah, I wouldn't trust that either. Wait a minute, where is she here? Yeah, 27. 27 years old. I think she lost to this chick right here, Ernesta. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. But with Carli, it's more of a style issue. You just have to have a certain style to keep her from hurting you, stopping you, and running over you. You gotta have a certain type of style. Remember, some fighters, it don't matter what style they're dealing with, they're able to beat you. Shevchenko is the best example of that right now. Natalia Silva also. These girls are a problem. Both of them, and the other fighters in the divisions are going to have to figure out, pull out the blueprint. Y'all going to have to come up with something to neutral, or else y'all going to get beaten up flat out. See, girls, in my opinion, still their worst nightmare is to take a bunch of shots to the face. You actually saw it. You saw it in both fights tonight. Girls are more, and this might be true with the guys too, they're more afraid of head shots and body shot. strikes, period, are still the most intimidating aspect of fighting for girls. And if you are above average striker, in my opinion, it gives you a huge advantage. Huge advantage in women's mixed martial arts. Yeah, they have to answer that question for me too. But we already know the answer. They're going to say, no, these fights were not boring. But I give them, credit for their argument. The women do have a lower stoppage ratio. But I wouldn't try to make the argument that they're so far behind the men that they should be completely removed. I would not be that dumb. You up against it trying to make an argument like that using facts, data, and statistics. So yeah, just a emotional argument is the way I look at it. All these critics who talk about how it should be removed and it's so horrible. These are all emotional arguments, people attempting to get their ego stroked. That's all it is, clickbait. Right? And I will leave it there.